The theme of this year's Ars Electronica Festival is beginning to envelop Linz. Austria's third largest city becomes a reflector of the debate, negotiating the complexity of truth in the digital age. The city, as well as naturally the Ars Electronica Center, the Lentos as well as the Marine Dome become critical spaces, where the question, who owns the truth, is examined from all angles. And here I am again, in Linz, to observe how the festival is taking shape. It kind of feels like a final dress rehearsal. When I head back to Linz next time, the city will be filled with the festival. And me, right in the middle of the craziness, will immerse myself in the exchange and encounter. My name is Sarah Kriesche, and over the past few weeks and months, I've been talking to artists and scientists, and of course the creative people at Ars Electronica, to learn more about the theme of this year's festival, Who Owns the Truth?
Who Owns the Truth? The ENGL Festival podcast for Ars Electronica. Episode 8. Truths Tomorrow.
It's Saturday, 9 a.m. as I walk the very familiar path from Linz Central Station to the Ars Electronica Center one more time. Saturdays are kind of weird to me. They seem so wishy-washy. The frenzied energy of the work week still lingers, yet they are filled up with the quiet anticipation of Sunday. So you can still feel the week's hectic energy, but at the same time there is this chilled out vibe, looking forward to Sunday. But this tension between peace and chaos, between old and new, between past and future, feels just right for the upcoming festival. At least that's what I keep telling myself. As the truth is, it's simply the only day the director of the Ars Electronica Festival, Crystal Bauer, could squeeze in a little time to meet me. At 10, at the Ars Electronica Center, where I'm, once again, stuck outside locked doors. I'm too early.
People look at me from the inside like, who's this person with the microphone, looking devastated, but they don't really try to help me.
I'm not exactly looking cool leaning against the wall as the lobby fills up with folks. Two young guys who can't believe they're early. A couple bouncing back and forth between the entrance and the lobby. A dad using the wait to quietly grill his kid, maybe 7 years old, to find out if he's really telling the truth about not being there when some kids ripped the flush tank off the wall in the girls' bathroom. This web of Q&A slowly tightens around the kid like a noose. And it's the kid's relieved face that lets everyone know it's 10 o'clock and the museum is finally opening. And even though I was right by the entrance, somehow I'm now at the back of the line. Because another universal truth of human behavior has been perfected in Austria. The art of chill waiting mixed with the sharp instinct of a hawk ready to swoop to the front of the line at the right moment. In this dance, a mix of ballet and American football, where folks weave and elbow their way to the front, I'm just not talented. But I'm pretty good at sneaking past. Right next to the entrance is the so-called deep space. It's a cube with huge wall and floor projections and laser tracking systems that makes the visitors a part of the show. So you get to fly through space in insane detail, or you dive into oceans, or, like in my case, are part of a concert by the pianist and AI expert Alenik Rang from the Ars Electronica Future Lab. I talked to him in the 6th part of this series. Under the title Data Truth, he explained the role that music can play in conveying data and its significance. The deep space is a place that's so captivating that one can completely forget time and the world around. But I didn't get a chance to lose track of time during my visit because Crystal Bauer, the director of the festival, is already waiting for me in front of the cube. And for her, in this final stretch of getting the festival ready, time and sleep have become these rare and precious resources.
Well, yes, you're right. You see the dark circles under my eyes, but you also see the excitement sparkling in them. So The last weeks and days, of course, before the festival, you see everyone rushing around. But that means also the excitement really rises, meaning that most of the partners slowly come by, especially the local partners. They look at their individual spaces, they define how they want to do the setup and the detailed project design. And that means, of course, that our team is no longer sitting in the offices, but actually constantly being present in the exhibition spaces.
The Lentos, one of the most important museums for modern and contemporary art in Austria, will once again this year be the venue for artists from Latin America.
This focus we created in the context of an award, the CIFO Ars Electronica Award, that together with the Cisnero Fontanals Art Foundation, we hand out specifically to artists from Latin America. So what you're going to see there are actually the winners of this award. And the award is actually a production grant. So it's not finished projects, but the artists have been working incredibly hard in the last few months to produce the projects that are now presented for the very first time. All the artists will be here. We have artists from Colombia, from Argentina, from Cuba, from Mexico. And in total, we have 9 projects that are presented there. So you'll get quite a kaleidoscope, an overview of what topics artists in various Latin American countries are looking at.
36 degrees east and 6 time zones away from Linz, there is this other participant who's going to be here this year. Back in July, Ars put out a tweet that the Institute for Design and Innovation from Dubai is going to be part of the festival as well. Dubai, the PR machine of the Emirates, which repeatedly invites influencers and those who aspire to become one to promote the seemingly great freedom of the absolutist monarchy. So I'm pretty sure that the Institute for Design and Innovation's got their own unique take on the whole "who owns the truth" theme. But it's precisely this readiness for dialogue and exchange, as challenging as it may be, that gives Ars Electronica its distinctive profile and special charm. It's these rough edges that set the festival apart, as they often push past the usual boundaries. And that's why the Marine Dome also stands out as a venue. I'm visiting it not without ulterior motives. Besides its importance as a cultural center and festival venue, this majestic church, thanks to the massive stones it's built from, gives you a nice chill spot away from the heat and the everyday craziness. While I'm tagging along behind Crystal Bauer down the pedestrian zone, I think back to my conversation with the artistic director of Ars Electronica, Gerfried Stocker. Of course, in the context of the theme, "Who owns the truth?" we also talked about religious institutions, as they have provided a framework for truth and reality in many cultures over centuries.
Diese Grundidee zu sagen, das Fundament von Wahrheit.
The basic idea of saying the foundation of truth is shifting from the theological religious definition to the scientific one, that was massive and marked the start of a new era, Gerfried Stocker explains. And he reckons it's gonna be on the same scale now. We're not sure yet who's gonna shape it and what the new framework of truth and reality will look like, but the fact that any random version of truth, which means also authenticity and originality, can be made, remade, shared and so on millions of times in the blink of an eye, is bound to make it happen.
Millionenfach produziert, reproduziert, verteilt und so weiter werden kann, die führt notwendigerweise dazu.
Church buildings like the Marine Dome in Linz are awesome reminders of past eras when they were the go-to guides for truth and reality. In their massive stone walls, you can feel the church's old dominance like an echo from a time when religious truth was the unshakable framework of our society. And even though our world is more and more secular these days, these places give you some sense of stability and continuity. They are a quiet but powerful reminder of the importance that a solid shared understanding of truth and reality can have in a society. And during the festival, the Marine Dome opens its doors and turns into a meeting place for old and new truths, tradition and innovation.
What we try with the festival really to create a symbiosis then between the artistic project, the artist, the international guests of the festival, as well as the churchgoers that come in here, because we won't shut any doors. It will always be open, and anyone who wants to enter that place, that building, can enter. Whether then they are surprised by the performance and they join us, or whether they decide to continue their visit or their tour throughout the church. that's completely up to them.
With a solid vision of where an artwork will be displayed, when a performance is going to kick off, and how the festival is going to look in September, the meeting with Christel Bauer kind of feels like a game of I Spy with my little eye. Where I'm seeing a bunch of planks, she's seeing a stage. Where I'm seeing plastic containers, she's seeing the future lighting for the Post City, which is by now a completely different Post City than the one I visited just over a month ago.
Even though it's not a church, but sometimes the effect seems a little bit similar.
Barely have we stepped through the door when a security guard shows up.
Hallo. Ja, genau. Herzlichen Dank, dass Sie nachkommen.
Stuff and parts are leaning against the walls with forklifts and e-scooters parked nearby. Right next to the hall with the spiral slides, plastic jugs are piled up. In the case of the festival, architecture is not simply part of the infrastructure. It's an artistic project that is treated just as such.
Because construction works are the architecture of the festival, right? I mean, they are the bones of the festival. Without that, nothing works. We cannot set up any artwork. And because we are a green event, for us it's incredibly important that we throw away as less as possible after the festival. Last year, we actually created a modular architecture system where we don't put in any screws, meaning that after the festival, we can just dismantle it again, pack it in small boxes, put it into our storage and reuse it again next year exactly in the same way.
My inner rebel is having a field day as Christel Bauer whips out her key again and we head into areas plastered with giant no entry signs.
And we are standing actually in the middle of one of our storages. We have several.
Huge boxes, almost as tall as me, filled up with all the tech goodies you could want. And cables. A mind-blowing number of cables. I've got this same nightmare back at home, just smaller, in a box under my bed. They haunt me at night, I swear. It's all the cables that I told myself I might need someday and which seem to spend their off time conspiring to form some sort of Gordian knot.
A graffiti on the wall saying fail again, fail better. Was that you or was it there? It's so cool.
That was certainly not us. That was, I'm sure, one or the other of the refugees that spent some time in this building on their way to a safer place.
In the next room over, that's what used to be the counter areas, where people used to drop off and pick up letters and packages, is now the provisional office of the Ars Electronica organization team.
It's the temporary home for 3 months every year since we are doing the festival here. And it is the former office, actually, of the Post City employees. So it really has this office style. And you see above it those really old, tiny monitors where they used to observe people of what they're doing, making sure no one steals something.
Vintage surveillance systems.
Absolutely.
I just want to know if the clock still works.
No, they don't. In the whole Post City building, they had those kind of clocks. They were all connected. So it's not a digital clock, but it was a whole system across the building that was operated somewhere from a central place. So now they're all disconnected, of course.
I know those round white yellow clocks with black hands on the walls from my school days. While back then I always felt they were frozen in time, especially during Latin class, these relics of the Post City really did stop with the end of an era. It's a strange clash of time, the constant standstill battling against the unyielding, relentless countdown to the festival's opening.
The sad part about this is that as one of the organizers, you hardly get to enjoy and really experience the festival, which is a bit, really the sad side. So what I will actually do usually is after the festival, I'll take the time to relive the festival a little bit, especially those parts that I had to miss for obvious reasons.
As a small personal tradition, once the festival is over, she will be strolling alone through all the rooms before the cleaning up begins. It only takes 2 days, then only artifacts will remind of the festival that will have taken place. However, in the context of Ars history, this year's motto, "Who owns the truth?" will be more than just a leftover footnote.
This magic that you experience while walking through the exhibition during the days of the festival is not gone, but it is this faint glimmer that you remember. It's the moment, but also it's everyone's individual experience, because I don't think we're going to meet two people that have the same experience at the festival or even see the same things, right? Because everyone finds their own path through the festival. And as there is such incredible richness and huge amount of different programs, there is no chance that any person can see everything. So everyone is the master, so to say, of their own festival experience as well.
5 days with moments of truth.
With a lot of very individual moments of truth.
The upcoming festival is still waiting to be experienced, to create its own memories, and to become a part of this ongoing story.